Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Justice is Here podcast. As I announced last Saturday, this is going to be a pre recorded, won't be live like the other ones, but we are still doing an interview. And as always, all of the things I mentioned will be in the link. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Subscribing helps to get the message of the Justice for All Party out there so that we can expand and get people out of the so called two-party system, which I always love to call the one-party system. So just remember to hit that subscribe button. Remember to visit the Justice for All Party website at justiceforall.us. That is justiceforall.us. And with that, also remember to help us to get 50 likes and 35 shares. 50 if you could like it, 35 if you can share it. That will help us also to get the message out there. And lastly, before we get to the interview, remember to join the team Tracy for Justice for All Party fundraiser. Our goal is to raise $25,000. We're doing really good. So just remember to make your contribution, and all the links will be in the description section. And now I will ask my guest to introduce himself.
Well, first of all, just thank you for being here. And Stacey, thank you for everything that you do. I tell you, it makes a difference. Every true movement had to start somewhere and had to keep on going in order to be able to hand it off to the next people. We are actually receiving it from people like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and so many of Fannie Lou Hamer and so many others. So thank you for being in that rich tradition of carrying that on at the grassroots level. My name is Clifton West, part of the West family. I'm the lesser known brother of Dr. Cornel West, who is my little brother. And I don't know what more you want to know about me. There's a lot to know, but I don't want to clutter it up with what you want to talk about.
Well, we want to talk about you, of course, and the work you're doing because I never know how to address the sibling of the person who I'm talking about because I don't want to just, oh, well, what's it like growing up with them? I'm not going to do that. I promise you that. So I just want to talk about your impressions. And I'll start off with this question. And again, I don't want to frame it this way, but it's the only way I know how to frame it. So I always start off with asking, why do people support Dr. West and what he's trying to do? But yours is, of course, a little different because, again, you already mentioned you're the elder brother. So, what was that conversation like when he said, yes, I'm going to run for president? And again, why did you even support that? Because not all, believe it or not all siblings support their siblings when they run for office.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. And I just want you to know, first of all, we're going to have a good time here, and we're going to take whatever question and conversation we have, we're going to take it to a place where people are going to get something out of it. They really are. What Cornel is doing, and every once in a while I slip and call him Corn, because that's what way I affectionately have been calling him his whole life. It's really just a manifestation of how he grew up and how we grew up in the West household. And basically it was a quest for truth and for justice and for love for all. That's this continuation of how our parents were. That's how they grew up in Louisiana and Texas and Oklahoma. Then, we came out here from when I was 7, 8 years old in the late 50s. And so we come from a household where truth is at a premium. Truth was as a premium and is as a premium. We just really holding up that childhood experience that our parents allowed us to have. And at that integrity, not that we're not sinners like anybody else, but integrity was at a premium. Decency was at a premium. uh, looking at everybody as a child of God was a premium, and it still is a premium. So when I look at this, when he told me to run, he's running for president. I said, well, this is just a continuation of what you've been doing your whole life, really. And that's representing the West household and Shiloh Baptist Church with Willie P. Cook, and so forth. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't, personally, I don't even look at this so much as a party per se as I do a movement. Because sometimes as a party, we get lumped into, like you said, those other parties, which are parties for a whole different reason. We're just a movement in a political arena. I look at Justice for All as a movement in a political arena with the party name of Justice for All.
See, now I would take that different, because if my sibling told me they were running for president, first thing, I know my siblings, I'm laughing at them. Because I'm like, what are you, what you thinking? Like, because of the responsibility of the president. That's literally the leader of the free world per se. So I would just, because again, I know my siblings, I'm laughing at them because I'm like, are you crazy? Are you absolutely crazy? That's what I would be thinking.
Well, to peel the onion back just a little bit more, I told him, I said, now I'll get on board with you. I said, now, you said you would never run for president. And if I ever came to you, or you ever came to me and said you were running for president, for me to remind you that you must be on crack to be, to say you're going to run for president. So I need you to explain to me where you're coming from at this time. And we had a pretty lengthy a conversation on his calling, on the extension of his calling, on kind of like an elucidation of his calling, where it's now been extended into this arena. And so after a pretty comprehensive discussion on that, I says, okay, now, in order for me to be involved, I'm an old track guy, and everything an old athletic guy, anything that we've ever gotten into, when you get in the blocks, you expect to win. This is not just a moral victory or anything like that. We get in the blocks expecting to win and doing everything we can to win, because in order to do it, it's only worth doing it if you expect to win. Now, whatever winning is, but at this time, at the conversation I was having with him, winning meant actually him having the presidency at this time. At this time, we're sitting here right now. So it's not just a moral victory. We can look down the line. We didn't even discuss it like that. We said, what do we need to do, or what needs to be done? Because what we're up against. We're up against big money. We're up against big power. We're up against people that will do anything, both parties, to crush you, to make sure that you don't have any, you don't make any impact at all that would be negative. And on one side, that they would view it as something that would be positive for them. But as soon as it stopped being positive for them, they're going to crush you with the downside.
Sorry, I hit my record button there.
We looked at the upside and the downside. Okay, yeah, I said it. I heard it. So in any case, it was, all in all, it was a revealing yet glorious 17-month journey. It was revealing. It was confirming in ways that I didn't even, I could have only know how much my doubts and beliefs were confirmed by only being in it at the level in which we were in it. And that lets me know just what kind of trouble our not just our democracy, but our nation is in right now. Not just because of Trump. Trump is he's just a symptom of this evil. It's the system itself that is evil, not just the Trump. He wouldn't have got in there if the system wasn't like it was right now.
I wish people would understand that. I wish people would understand that. But when the campaign was going, of course, I was collecting petitions. And one of the things that frustrated me about living in the great state of Indiana, ha ha ha, I say that with all sarcasm, is every state seems to have a different criteria. You know, for us, it was
Yeah,
37,963 signatures that we had together. I don't know what state you live in, but I'm assuming it was a totally different number. What
right.
level of volunteer were you? Were you out collecting signatures? Were you more in the I would imagine you'd be more in the administrative day-to-day camp running of the campaign.
Yeah, I personally was like a senior consultant. So there was a group of anywhere from 5 to 8 of us at any one time that would talk about strategies, uh, a lot having to do with just keeping our spirits up, what was being experienced and so forth, keeping our spirits up, and yet still uh, reacting and then being trying to be proactive to what was out there. What you said is exactly true. Uh, there were so many different ways in which the states handle uh, the voting, the whole voting machine, that whole voting mechanism. For the most part, quite frankly, it's about keeping the duopoly not only alive, but a well and on top. I mean, it takes money, and then the duopoly gets wind that you might be getting some wind beneath your wings. So they step in and put in big money to ensure that you can't campaign there, that you can't fundraise there, that the people at one point that you set up fundraising events at one point, you get it all set up, and then you find out that they no longer are cooperating with you, so they call it off at the last minute. So it makes us look inept. So, and we know that there was a lot of money spent by the Democratic Party to ensure that Cornel wouldn't get a foothold in any of those places that they felt that would be detrimental to them winning. And I put a emphasis on them winning, not the people winning, them winning. See, there's a difference.
Mm-hmm. It's a
Justice
great
for all, we're
difference.
talking about the people.
$20 million that the Democrats spent and
There it
still lost.
is. There it is,
And
Tracy.
still lost. I'm like, you still
And
lost.
still lost. And still lost. That's right. That's right.
2 billion with a B. I think about how much this campaign, the West Abdullah campaign, could have done. Not that we're out here taking APAC money and billionaire money, because that wasn't going to happen.
That wasn't
But
gonna happen.
even with 1%, like 1% of $2 billion, we could have gotten on like close to all 50 states. I'm like, oh my gosh, we could have gotten on like.
Tracy, you're right. And I always said when I would go on the campaign trail and make speeches to introduce Cornel, and I say this with no hyperbole at all. I truly believe this. If America had the opportunity to be in those town hall meetings, and with the money, he would have been able to have the kind of breadth and scope and volume that both the duopoly had. If America on both sides, if they were able to experience that, it would have been a completely different outcome. And dare I say, Cornel would have had a good chance to win. He would have had a good chance to win because our reactions on the people that were there on both sides, see, because we're not about silos. We're not about, liberalism here, conservatism here. We're talking about truth. Truth cuts across. And so people on all sides of where they believed they were when they walked in, when they walked out, they were starting to realize that the paradigm that they believed in may not be true, may require some more, not just investigation, but self-examination. See, because what our party does, it causes you to look at something for yourself. See, you need to get it for yourself. You don't do what people tell you to believe, and then you go out there and proselytize on what really is a lie. Get it for yourself. Ask yourself the question, self-examination, self-evaluation. I didn't go for self. Now go out and look at what's really happening in our nation, political wise and so forth, how that not just trickles down, but how it rains down on our culture, how it rains down on how we feel about each other in our culture, and how it has so much to do how we have devolved in a lot of ways since I've been alive over here some 75 years. I mean, I came up in Jim Crow. Cornell and I came up in Jim Crow, and that was a treacherous time. But the soil then for truth, decency, and justice was I can make a case it was more fertile then than it is now. In a lot of ways, it was more, because we're going backwards now. And a lot of people are looking at, well, we've made all this progress and there's still chaos. Let's just go and take it back to 1950. That's where Trump got a hold. So much for me, how the Republicans were able to win. Even though to me their platform is evil and so forth, they were more authentic. They were more authentic than the Democrats. When you go to Safeway and you get a lemon, which is the Republicans, you get home, it's still a lemon. With the Democrats, you go to Safeway and you buy a plum. When you get it home, it's a raisin. And so a lot of people became disenfranchised with the whole process. So you get up 40% of the people just not going to Safeway at all. He said, I'm through with this. They all lied. I don't know what to believe. And just like Anna Arlt said, when you live in a rule of lies, the first thing that happens is that people don't know what to believe. So they will believe what anybody tells them with the most power, or that which they believe applies to them the most. That's where we live in right now.
That was such a powerful analogy. And again, I always wish I was a better communicator, because I couldn't have said that any better. I've been trying to make that point so many times and I've always failed. But that, for the people that will be watching this, because this will be broadcast at a different date, remember that point. It was just well said. I want to talk about, being, you decided, well, let me backtrack this question because it's going to make sense. Hopefully, if it doesn't, I can rephrase it. So we talked about the $2 billion, would they be, that the Democrats raised and still lost. And some of their criticism of Dr. West, because see, I can't call him corn like you do. Your family, you can call him corn. I can't. But one of the criticisms is he didn't take his campaign seriously. I don't know what people mean by taking seriously or what kind of criteria, but one of the things that was brought up is that he probably should have stayed with the Green Party because they have more ballot access. They have ballot access in 48 states, as opposed to going independent, where we had to just get out there and get signatures. And most of us didn't come anywhere. Indiana, we didn't come anywhere close to the 37,000 that we needed.
What Cornell? Oh, go on.
No, I was going to say, I know he took it seriously, but what is your view of that? Was there, when he made that switch from Green Party to independent, was that a factor? Like, oh, it's going to be harder? Because it did become harder.
It did become harder, but again, it had to do with being true to himself and being the authentic person of that West household that I described to you before. With the Green Party, the issue of the Black experience, that is in a very key way at the center of who Cornell is. I mean, there's faith, there's family, and so forth. But all this is balled up into this little black boy who grew up, born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and grew up. And this core of Jesus loving black man, for Jesus loving free black man, is at the core, which means all the other parts intersect with that. With the Green Party, he would have had to kind of move that from the core, move more of what the Green Party's agenda was to that core, and the blackness and all this kind of be part of that new core. That's not Cornel. We didn't know it till we got in there. See, again, the key to this is winning. What does winning constitute? Winning does not constitute just the Green Party winning and being able to have that agenda, which is a good agenda. It's just not wholly, Cornel's not 100% with it once he got in there. And then have, that agenda win. At Cornel's core is having the people win. Having the people win. And he felt like the best way he could express himself to do that is to be that free little black boy who grew up, born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, without restraints, and having that kind of love spill over, but still be the core of who he was, and having people know that, because that's very important. Corny and I both feel that black experience, that love of the black experience, is unlike any other in American history, maybe world history, because it's a love that comes from a people that have been terrorized for 400 years, but still find a way to love and have that pour over into everybody. And so, that's why the Democratic Party was not going to work. That's not only reason. That's not even the main reason. With the corporate masters that run that party, but if Cornel was going to run this, he had to remain his who he is. His existential him had to be at the core of all these things, and everything else kind of intersecting that. So, I mean, Cornel he says it in his way. I say it in mine. I think we're on the same track, but I don't say it to be on the same track. This is my view. This is my own personal view, looking at my little brother, knowing who he is, how he came up, and what he evolved into, and how he wants to finish this race called life. He wants to finish strong. See, he ain't worried about the Green Party being proud of who he is. He's more concerned about Jesus being proud of who he is, his mom and dad being proud of who he is, Willie P. Cook being proud, I'll be proud of who he is, his sisters being proud, and so forth, and what he stood for his whole life. One thing about truth, we know it's immutable. It's not like the center, like we see in politics. Well, you ought to move more to the center. Well, yeah, the center today was far right on 20 years ago. The center moved. The center moves based upon where the left and right is. But truth is immutable. It cuts across. It's like integrity. It's kind of like a promiscuous truth. It lies with a lot of different ideologies.
I think I'm glad you said that, because when I hear that argument, well, he's not serious. And I'm like, well, do you mean serious as he doesn't take AgPack money and he doesn't take big pharma money? It seems like when it's a outside candidate, like the goalpost consistently keeps getting moved. It's like, okay, we're going to make this serious. And then, no, that's not serious. This is serious. No, that's not serious. Let's just keep moving it. And here comes my other question. Because when I did the show that preceded this, congratulations to the 47th president of the United States, Dr. Cornel West. One of the things that agitated me to my core was hearing this: now is not the time. I promise this is said every time a third-party candidate runs for office. I don't know how much it frustrates you. I don't even know if it frustrates you, but it frustrates me to the core, because they're always moving this goalpost. I heard, oh, well, Dr. West should run in 2028. And I guarantee when 2028 runs, they're going to say, oh, no, run in 2032. And then when 2032 gets here, it's going to be 36, and et cetera, and et cetera, and et cetera. My thing
Well,
is,
Tracy, you nailed it. You nailed it. You
why
nailed
can't they just
it,
say,
my
never
sister.
is the time?
There you go. There you go. You nailed it. I mean, when we first started this thing, actually we started off with the People's Party, which was wasn't good. Yeah. But we want to come up with a phrase. And my input for, I mean, a catchphrase, a slogan for the party. And this is way before Justice for All. And my input, my suggestion for our slogan was, now is the time. So you really struck a nerve with me. That was my personal, we didn't go with that. We went with Justice for All. But my thing, if not now, when? We have to remember from an historical standpoint, they told Martin the same thing. Now's not the time, Martin. They told every one of our leaders was told the same thing. By our people. That's the key too. By our people. Okay. We with you, but now's not the time. If it were not for the fire of those in vogue of Frederick Douglass and even before all the way down to Martin and stuff, I shudder to think the state of Black America where we would be right now. Somebody got to hold up the truth-stained banner, whether it is projected to win or not. Truth needs to be stood up for. Integrity needs to be, there has to be somebody out there that's keeping the foundation of what this really is all about. This house called America is imploding from the inside out. And it's imploding from the inside out exactly because truth is controversial now. See, Barabbas didn't die because the people loved him. Barabbas died because people hated the truth. That's where we are today. That's where we are today. We got standing for the truth. Now, there are people like yourself that understand the value and not just the value of the truth, but how that's the only thing that's going to sustain us and keep this democracy alive. It's not the Democratic Party with their milquetoast and sellout politics to be the firewall for keeping fascism out. In my view, they were part of the facilitators of it. By residing in that same corporate master crack house as the Republicans, then they come out fighting one another, and authentically so, but they still serve the same masters. And after a while, the people get tired of it. They're not stupid. They don't know everything that's going on, but they see things are not being done. They see compromises. And every time they call for, well, why didn't this get passed? Why didn't this get done? Finger pointing at the other people and so forth. They are not the Democratic Party is not the savior for this democratic experiment called America. Only somebody standing up for justice for all and for truth and saying, hey, let's get people first and foremost to thank for themselves. Come out your silo. Come out your conservatism, your liberalism, even your progressivism. Come on out and think for yourself and see where you end up. Take the isms out of this deal. If your name is Tracy, let's say Tracyism. Let's figure out what that is. Cliffism. Let's figure out what that is. And let's go from there with the truth. Because people are hurting and they're going to hurt even more. They're going to be disappointed. People that supported Trump are already becoming disappointed. The Republican Party and conservatism is imploding. We don't hear a lot about it, but it's happening. The Democratic Party is still scratching their head talking about what happened. You're imploding. You're both imploding for the same reason.
Oh, I can answer the question about what happened. And I'm about to be really sarcastic because people know that watch this show. They know I'm sarcastic. It was sexism. See, that's the whole problem. Not Gaza. Oh, no, not that. Not that. Not the economy being garbage. It was just sexism and racism. Yes,
Mhm.
that's sarcasm,
Mhm.
everybody that's not catching where I'm going. I've heard I'm like, stop making excuses. But
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I just had to get
Well,
that in
that,
there. I'm like,
and
oh
that's
no.
all part of it. Yeah. That's all. Yeah, definitely. That's all part of it too. That's a big part of it, as a matter of fact, because when you look at what the Republican Party has resurrected, and they've basically normalized racism again. The kind of racism that existed like in the 60s. They've normalized that, saying that's okay. You wasn't nothing wrong with that. You all right. You ought to be able to call them N-word if you want to. No harm done. You ought to be, if you this is actually what I should say. You ought to be able not to hire anybody that makes you feel uncomfortable. We ought not have to read any books that make us feel uncomfortable. Look where it's gotten us. Look, we've been through this quote unquote liberal journey through all of these years. Look where it's gotten us. Let's go back to when things were in order. See, so, and this all the while you have a white demographic who are in fear of being replaced by minorities in number. So you have all this going on at the same time. But the Democratic Party, and I hate to keep being critical in this way, but they were looked at as the firewall, as the stopgap, and even myself. So, because I went through the same thing of voting time after time. Well, it's better than this. Well, at one point, better than is not good enough.
Oh,
Matter of
thank you for
fact,
saying it. Yes.
at one point, when you examine better than, you realize better than is not that far off from and. So
Mm.
Republican and Democrat, same, just drinking out the same trough, but just on opposite sides.
Guys, we are getting some real knowledge today. Take notes, everybody. Take some notes. Oh my goodness, we are getting some good things here. And remember, just a quick plug to visit the Justice for All website, justiceforall.us, justiceforall.us. So I'm gonna move to um again, here comes the sarcasm. I gotta stop being so sarcastic. It's just gotta go. But
Well, it's good for you. You get it out. I help you. I help you get it out.
um because I do think there is there sexism. Sure, there are some people out there that weren't going to vote for Kamala because she's a woman. Maybe, but when poll after poll tells you Gaza, the economy, immigration, and when they ask you, you run as the change candidate, and then you get on the View, which should be an easy punt, and say how you're
Yeah.
going to be different, and you say, "Well, not really."
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, that was me. That was bad. That was bad.
um, okay, I guess. Well, no, I get this. Do I think that the Harris administration would have fired federal workers? No.
Right.
But do I think that they would have continued genocide? Yes.
Right.
Because that's what
Right.
she literally
And,
said was
and it's
wrong.
a long-term strategy too.
Absolutely.
Exactly. But it's a long-term strategy too. But see, I need to go back to your original sarcasm. That's a legitimate question. Is America ready for a lady, a madam president?
I think
And
so.
I do you think America would vote in? I
I
don't.
do.
I don't know. I don't know.
Now, some people would say, "Oh, well, it's a woman," but I would like to believe.
I would like
Like I
to
said,
believe it.
there's people that again they're going to say no, but I want I want I want a woman president so badly. Like I've
Hmm.
wanted this
Hmm.
since I was a little girl. I believe it can happen. But it's got to be the right woman. I can't with the genocide. I can't with the corporate money. I can't with all of what Harris offered. I never knew who she was. That's the whole Democratic Party. I don't know who they are.
Well, that's what I heard time after time after time. Exactly. And I heard this amongst people who were looking to vote for the Democratic Party. And this is campaigning for Cornell. And some of those people voted for Cornell, but they, not necessarily for, well, the same reason that we're talking about, but they voted for him because they said, I just can't trust, just like I said before, I can't trust the Democratic Party. I'm thinking like, you know, my words, not theirs. I'm gonna get this plum, I'm gonna get home, it's gonna be a raisin, you know? So,
exactly.
So they didn't vote at all, or they voted something else. So,
I look at
it's
it like
speculation at this point.
when I was a little girl, I was always like, why isn't there a black president? Like, I'm talking like 7, 8, 9, or 10, like real little. And then Obama came along. And we heard all of the things about why he couldn't win. And I know people are going to say, well, he was the right person and he was prompted and blah, blah, blah. And those things are true. But his messaging, even though it was completely false and he never believed anything he said, in my opinion, he had the right message at the right time. And so I've always thought that, I hate to say this, if things get bad enough, I think the country would be open to having a woman president. I just don't believe it was sexism.
Well, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. That may be what it takes. If you want to know the truth, that may be just what we need. Just what we need.
But again, it's important to have the right woman. I don't need corporate,
exactly,
feckless, do nothing. I'll do whatever Israel said. I don't need, no, I'm not going to vote for that.
Yeah, and that goes not only in gender, but even in color. So much of America is based upon celebrity. Yeah. And so, you know, Trump is in a certain way, he's perfect because he's a reality show guy. He has no talents. He's a reality show person. Obama has substance. Obama definitely has substance, but he has charisma. He arguably was the most articulate president we've ever had. Probably have to go back to Lincoln to match the kind of articulation and verbal acumen that Obama has and had. And again, the celebrity of symbolism too. See, there's a celebrity of symbolism. I think with Kamala, first of all, they didn't do her any favors of getting her in so late. That was the thing. They got her in late, even though they raised a lot of money. You know, it even mobilized the Republicans even more in a lot of ways, because I think they knew they had Biden, but at one point when that momentum switched over, and that's when Musk got real visible. He started just offering money for people to vote Republican. Remember the raffles and stuff he had.
Raffles. Yeah, completely legal. But you know what? See, this is gonna go back to another video. I think Biden got out late on purpose, but that's just me. That's Tracy thinking. I'm not gonna get into that because I'm like, I think if the Democrats had the right message and the right policy and the right moral integrity, I think 2 months would have been perfect. I think that would have been enough time. If they had all of those other things in place, they didn't. And ultimately,
you know, they had such a bad track record too, though. I think that Bernie was on the right track. I think they missed the boat. I think Bernie was on the right track when they cut legs under him. Now, he wasn't the most charismatic guy. He wasn't a celebrity. He wasn't a reality show kind of personality from Vermont. A lot of people don't even know it's a state, probably. But he was talking the right thing. He was talking, campaign reform, getting big money, getting corporate. That's one of the big things, getting corporations out of politics. As long as both parties are beholden to the corporate masters, it almost doesn't matter who we get. Yeah, the Democrats will prevent certain things from happening for now. But it's just like if you have cancer and you take a morphine shot, that don't it just make you feel good for a little while, but it doesn't take away the cancer. America needs surgery. True justice for all is surgery on America. In a lot of ways, that's why this party is one of the most dangerous parties in America. It's talking about an overhaul from the inside out, something that's never been done before. The changing of the way politics is played and conducted in America.
I'm glad you said that, because now we're definitely moving into justice for all. I understand. Backtrack, side question: do all the siblings' names start with the letter C? Do all of your siblings have the? Yeah,
yes.
I bet they all have the letter C in their name. I bet you.
Yeah. You got that right. You got that right, Tracy.
I figured, I'm like, that's a black thing. Yeah, we do it. We do it all the time. I bet you all their names start with the letter C. But
and not only that, two of us, if you go with the middle names, go CLW, and the other two go CRW.
Yeah, because I know Dr. West's middle name is Ronald.
That's right. And the sister right under him, middle name is Rochelle, Cynthia Rochelle. And then the baby girl is Cheryl Lynn. And then you got me, who I generally don't put my name out there in public, but I'm going to do it for you. This is an exclusive, Clifton Lincoln. But I'm the third. See, I'm the third. So I'm named after my grandfather.
You were named after the grandfather that was the minister, right?
Absolutely.
See, I do my research. That's
yes,
right.
You do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Born in 1903. In Hamburg, Louisiana. Yes, sir. Yeah. Matter of fact, this is him right here. See.
Yeah, I was like, I bet you all of their. I can't see it. Nope, I can't see it because you got that background. That's why I can't see it.
Okay, well, anyway, here's what it was. Yeah.
But that I was like, I bet you all their names start with the letter C. I got money on it. That was right. Of course, I'm right.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But I want to move into the Justice for All party and its future. As you know, audience, I have been doing Justice for All since, well, we were going to go on in March. This was going to be our debut month, but I pushed it back to February by popular request. I was requested to put this show out in February. That's what I did. And we've been talking to people about the future of the party. And I'm excited because there's a convention coming up. Hopefully. Well, yes, it has to be because we have a nomination committee coming up. Talk about, and I'm just going to throw out that I want in person, because if I do one more Zoom meeting, I'm just going to, I got to see people. I got to touch them and see them like my eyes and say, oh, that's what the bottom of you looks like. Okay. But talk about some of the things you look forward to seeing at the convention and the party.
Yeah. Well, it's like anything. I'm looking for a way that a myriad of ideas can come together and be unified and ignite the party. Because what the party, right now is a small party, but it needs the strength of unity coming from a lot of different places. People got to feel like they're a part of something and that they matter, but yet and still that they're unified and going forward, and they can trust the leadership. That's what I'm hoping in going forward. One thing that we did have is the trusting of the leadership. When the Democratic Party came to Cornell and says, hey, we'll offer you all this, this, and that. If you get out and support Kamala. And it was I'm not going to get it was quite a lot. And, again, wasn't the way he was raised. Wasn't the way we were
Let me
raised.
ask this question.
So when they
And
kept
you
saying no, they kept sending people to him.
Yep, I was gonna say, and you don't have to answer this question, but I'm just gonna
Hello.
assume, was the offer monetary?
Oh,
No, I'm
okay.
asking. What's
Oh, yeah.
okay? That's what I'm like.
I'm saying, oh, yeah. Yes, he was. It was position and money. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but I'm supposed to trust the Democratic Party. Yeah, let me just.
well, this is the thing,
Yeah.
though. And it's going to say, in fairness to the Democratic Party. I know that's starting off a sentence like that, not going to sound right. But in fairness to the Democratic Party, all they were doing was appealing to that part in all of us that would, at one point, what is your price? And in my life, I found that over 90% of people got a price, especially when it comes to money and power. It is the most intoxicating thing ever created. And when they kept sending people to corn, and they found out that he does not have a price. He does not have a price, nor is he authorized to put a price on the welfare of the people that support him. Even if he had a price, he's not authorized to tell you what it is or to negotiate with you, because that's not his money, that's the people's. But he didn't have a price because he's not in it for him, he's in it truly for the people. And I would hope, going forward to your other question, that whoever is in the league, whether it's Cornel or anyone else, that they would have that kind of integrity. And it's hard. It's hard. That's Bernie. It's hard not to take that money and run, But in any case, I'm proud of my little brother that he stood his ground, and he did it for the people. And he's definitely dealing with having made that decision right now. But that's okay. That's okay, because he's finishing strong. That's what's most important.
Wow, I'm just like totally speechless. I'm like, okay, what did I want to ask next? Okay, I'm setting this question up with a statement followed by a question. So another thing that I found out about West Abdullah supporters, is when I first heard that Dr. West was running for president, I'm like, I'm in. I'm in. I don't care if he runs for the Scooby-Doo party. I don't care. I literally don't care, because it was him who I supported. So whether it was People's Party, Green Party, I don't think he would run as a libertarian, but I'll throw him in there anyway. It didn't matter to me. And when I started the first show, congratulations to the 47th president of the United States, Dr. West. Well, I saw the first show by myself and realized really quick, oh no, I need to talk to other people, because me by myself, that's just not going to work. So I became obsessed with finding other supporters. And I did that because there were points in the campaign that I felt like, oh, it's just me that thinks like this. And I learned really quickly, no, Tracy, you're not by yourself. How do we carry that into the Justice for All party, saying, you know what, you're not by yourself? There's other people that feel exactly the way you do.
Yeah. There has to be a platform for ideas that conflict at times. And they will. We're all human. And just like anything else, everybody's not going to get what's most important to them put on the top of the list. But everybody, what they believe and what they think is important. That's going to take a special kind of leader, because it's the kind of leader that makes you feel important, even when having a conversation with you, like he or she. that they're not just patronizing you, but they're truthful with you. The actual slogan of the party and the name of the party has to be at the forefront of how we interact with one another, how we criticize one another, and how we go forward. Justice for all, truth, love, and justice. Those things is just like a family. Though everybody doesn't get their way, it can't be. It can't be in any space and time. All things can't exist at the same time at the high priority. But those things, there is a way of making people know that what they think and what they believe, it matters. We're going to keep you in that process, and we're going to get there. But even when the priority of what you want isn't necessarily at the top, we still want you in the process. We don't want you to walk away mad because this part of it isn't being addressed right now. That's where leadership comes in. That's where leadership comes in. And where the best leadership is, you know what you got to do? You got to tell the truth. You got to tell the truth and go from there. And then, not everybody's going to stay on board. You got to be ready for that too. Not everybody's going to stay on board. It's the truth that matters. And there's different slices of truth. There's, the truth for a doctor and what he does for his living is different from the truth of a person that writes music or art and what they do for a living. So how do you make these truths marinate and come together? Where is the intersection of that truth? For me, it's beauty. There's beauty in all truths, whether it be empirical or whether it be metaphysical, like on the art end, where you can't explain it, like love. There's beauty in love, but you can't quantify love. There's beauty in the medical profession, where you can quantify it, where it heals. So you somehow make those beauties mesh. Again, letting both parties know that you are just as important. Not one is more important than the other, just as important. But I want you to understand that we're going to do this thing together. And however it comes out, we got to be unified. That's the key. We have to be on the same page when we walk out of this room.
Exactly. And I know, and I'm saying this to the audience that will watch this. I know a lot of times we say, oh, the Green Party doesn't do this or that or the other. We never, because we are going to be working with other parties, because in some places it's not going to make, I'm not going to say not going to make sense for us to run, because I think we should run in every race, but we're not at that point today. We could be tomorrow. But what I want to get in people's mind is, in my opinion, as long as you don't have a D behind your name and an R behind your name, you're my people. We in this together. The system that we have now is caused by the Uniparty. We're not your enemies. You're not our enemies. We're creating a space.
And I would exactly. And I would say to even those DNR people who are dissatisfied, becoming more and more dissatisfied, we open to you too. We just want you to think for yourself. This is a place where you can think for yourself. You don't have to be breastfed. Yeah. This is what it is.
Exactly. Oh, and your
I'm sorry, you said no. Okay.
Okay. No, breast is not a profanity. That's fine.
Was that? Okay, yeah. I didn't want the image. Nobody get upset with the image, but yeah.
They can. But I wanted to say that because I think there's an I personally believe there should be at least 20 to 25 third parties out there. That's me. And I hear a lot of times, and this is an actual question, why don't the third parties work together? And I'm like, well, you go to the store and you want to buy bread. Well, first of all, there's different types of bread. There's sourdough, there's rye, there's wheat, there's white, there's gluten-free, there's raisin bread, there's all types. Nobody that makes raisin bread is gonna stop making raisin bread because, well, there's just too many. Why can't there be more than one third party? Why does there have to be just one party that's a third party?
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. But again, it's a matter of unity, and like they had in other democracies, is where you get a percentage based upon how the vote came in. If you got most of the vote, you got a certain percentage in Congress and in the Senate. Same way with and so forth. Another way to look at it, though, Tracy, is that what if, like, certain, and I'm just opening this up, I'm not even necessarily supporting this, but I'm just opening it up for your listeners to key in on it and write in on it. Like some positions, what if there were no parties and you had to dig into the candidate and what he or she stood for and vote for she or for him based upon what that person stands for, and nobody was attached to no parties? Again, I'm just throwing it out, food for thought.
Yeah, that's a unique thought, but I've always thought that people, our founding fathers, some people call them founding fathers, I call them flounding because they were slave owners, so I'm calling it as it is. The founding fathers, that was one of their things. They didn't believe in parties. So I'm like, well, I always believe people are going to naturally gravitate in groups. They just are. That's just the nature. I go to church. That's a group of people that believe what I believe. Then I go hang out with my We Love Murder Mystery Club, or I go hang out with. So I'm always looking to connect to people. And so I think parties can be good in that way.
Right.
But of course, parties can be destructive when they're controlled by Big Pharma, APAC, and fill in the blank corporate interests. That's the bad part. I see where you're going, but I'm like, yeah, it should be that way. People shouldn't look at the party, but they do.
I mean, I think about, at the grassroots level, a lot of our grassroots institutions like the PTA and even the county supervisor, maybe it's different. In California, the county supervisor, you really have to research to see what that person was, if you really want to see. And that's what we do now because there are parties. County supervisor doesn't have a D or an R or an I behind their name. They just run on their name, on their portfolio, on what they've done and what they haven't done, what they stand for. But what people try to do is they try to figure out, let's see, is he conservative? Is he a liberal? Let's see, what is he? Let's look him up. Now, in our day and time, we can look up anybody and pretty much tell what's going on, especially if they're on social media. But it would be nice, and that's where I think Cornell is such. I just got to believe that the time is going to come. Maybe not in our lifetime, but the time is going to come when somebody who had the courage to stand up for the people, stand up for truly trying to preserve this democratic experiment called America, and had the courage to do it at the expense of it all. Somebody that, because of things haven't gotten so bad, imploding so much, there's so much chaos in the street, or fashion, whether it be fascism or whatever it is, there's going to be chaos in the street. There already is, to straighten this whole thing out. And I think that, like going back to you said, the time is always right for the truth. There is no waiting. Oh, not now, later on. Right now is not the right time. If it's the truth, you better believe it's the right time. And matter of fact, it's going to be now, in the past, and in the future, always the right time. to do the right thing. And the way you do the right thing is you face the truth, you have integrity, you act in a decent and just manner, and dare I say, you love. Your love has to
Absolutely.
spill over, in that
Absolutely.
way. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
When I was in the campaign, like collecting signatures, a thing that frustrated me that I want the justice for all party to be intentional about this, and I'm not saying it for criticism, I'm actually saying it for encouragement, is we need to speak to one another, right? Because everybody, like my experience, I was not the best signature gatherer. I literally am not. That's not my lane. I would get frustrated when people didn't want to sign. I'm like, either sign it or get out of my face. I go away. I can't with you. It's not my um forte,
Your
but that
forte. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
it's not my wheelhouse. Doing a podcast, well, I don't know how good I am at doing a podcast, but I feel like I do that better than going out on the streets and engaging in petition gathering. But what I'm getting at
Hmm.
is I would love to see like trainings, like, hey, person that wants to go out there and gather signatures, this is what you need to do. Here are the forms you need to fill out. Go and because every state is different. Um, right.
Right.
And I know we did it in Indiana. We had like a whole, I think it was like a 2-hour training, like, hey, this is how you do it. But I would like to see the Justice for All Party nationally, like say, this is what you say when they say no. This is what you say when they say yes. This
Yeah. Yeah.
material that you give
Yeah.
them. Da 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 da.
Well, at the conference, just like you said, that's one of the things that should be addressed at the conference coming up. The how-tos of these strategic nodes that we're going to be doing, strategic things and activities and tasks that are required to campaign, because campaigning never ends. So
Nope.
these are, yeah, and these are things. How do you do it, and so forth? What kind of money are we going to need to do this? How are we going to raise the money, and so forth? These are logistical things that must be addressed, and so forth. And it needs to be addressed. Some things you can put together before you get the money. So while you're raising money, you can still put some of these things together that when the money comes in to do this, now it takes a hold and we hit the ground running. So I agree with you. I agree.
Yeah.
And see, the other part you made me think about on this is getting people to their right roles. Sometimes we run out of people, so we just throw a person over there because they're willing to do it and they're so on fire for the cause. But I'm like you. I'm not a good getting people to sign stuff and all. No, that's not
That's
me
not.
at
I was
all.
like, this, and I
You
mean,
know.
I did it, but I'm like, nope. let me ooh, let me let
Yeah.
me concentrate on the podcast where I know. I mean, not that this watched by thousands of people, which it should be, but that's not my. That's not where I'm best at, right? I feel
Right.
like if I had
Exactly.
me,
You.
that I would have been a lot better because my patience, see, and I know everybody that watches the show knows I'm not a very patient. You say no, it's like, okay, bye. And I'm moving on to the next person. Because me, it's
Yeah.
like I don't have
Yeah.
time. I don't have time to argue with people. Say, oh, we don't. I'm not gonna sign the petition. Not go vote for him. Just sign the petition so he could. Nope, he shouldn't be on the ballot. Third party shouldn't exist. See that brings out the worst in me
Right.
because now
Right.
I'm ready to argue. And I'm like, I can't. But there's finding those people that are good at that, right? That can take that.
That's true.
It may not be me. And maybe I need, maybe I need training. No, not maybe. I need training. I need training to know, hey, this is how you deal when somebody gets in your face and starts with all of these things. Because we're going to get to the point we're going to have to collect signatures again. We are going to have,
Exactly.
it's a
Exactly.
reality.
And
It's coming.
it's a reality, yeah. And ideally, what we do though is we put people in those places where when they get up in the morning, they're looking forward to doing that task. It's not like something they have to do. They're good enough at it where they look forward to it. It's so important to put the right people in the right task. Everybody's not gonna be able to do a podcast like you are. So to force somebody to do a podcast, it's that they don't want to do it. It's going to be very visible when that podcast comes across that this person is like pushing pushing the cart uphill because it's not their forte. They don't want to do it. They're just in that position, maybe because nobody else will do it, whatever reason. And it's the same way with gathering signatures. We put people in there that at least they're lukewarm about it. Not, they're just don't want to. We can't put people there that don't want to. And this is any task. This is any task. So, and there's enough, the thing about it though, we found there were a lot of people out there that worked for Cornell and did a great job for Cornell.
Fantastic.
All the way through, even going through all the parties that he went through. There was a lot. I really applaud the number of people, and I can't say I was surprised because I wasn't, but it was pleasantly affirming that so many people wanted to stand up and do work, not just vote, but do work for Cornell. And so, we in going forward with the party again, no matter who's running or whatever, they still need that kind of commitment in going forward. But that's part of, to me, what the conference is about. How do we decide also who's going to be doing what? It has to be a criteria on who's doing what. That's not just, signing up because you want to do it. I remember when Bradley was running, because we need it, I should say, not just signing up because we need so many bodies in a certain place. I remember when Bradley was running for governor in the early 80s, and my background, part of my background is software development. And as a volunteer, they said, well, you can go door to door and do that. I said, no, I got to be something else. So I ended up doing software development and basically gathering data for Bradley, but for Bradley to become governor and so forth. He didn't win, but I was at a place where I look forward after my 8 hours of doing my work. I would go down to the headquarters and I'd write the program. And this is old days in the 80s, they had to keep punching in and stuff. And the people would keep punching in and reports would come out, and it was amazing what it would show. It would show the demographics and the different places of where we could expect votes and where we need to hit harder, where there wasn't a big enough effort of our volunteers going in there and contacting people and so forth. So, and I don't remember all of the questions and what the program exactly looked like, but it was definitely something that I didn't come up with it. It was something that was given to me to program by people that actually knew what the reports should look like and what they were looking for. So, and now it's, oh my God, now it's just on steroids versus what it was then.
Yep. Yeah. And remember, those who are watching, go to justiceforall.us, justiceforall.us. There is a volunteer panel there, or page. Sorry, I said panel. Because the work 2026 is literally around the corner. And I know it seems like, oh, that's so far away. No, it's not. So we need the volunteers now. We need them now. We need them now. So again, go to justiceforall.us. That's justiceforall.us. And I always ask this question, and it's going to be the last question because I've taken up so much of your time, which I greatly appreciate you doing this for me. If you were going to tell, and I always get a long answer, but I'm really looking for a short answer on this one. if you were going to tell someone Joe Q Public, he doesn't vote, never votes, doesn't want to vote, doesn't trust the system in terms of the two parties, why should Joe get involved with the Justice for All party?
Yeah. Summarize this. Actually, okay, I'm gonna summarize as short as I can now, Tracy. So cut me off. I get too long. I would have to ask them what they are so disenfranchised about. And whatever answer I would give them would be, I got to remember this, it would be a semblance of justice for all. So it would have to be truthful. It can't be patronizing. It can't be something that I'm trying to sell in order for them to get. It's got to be something authentic and say, based upon what you told me, this is what you can expect from Justice for All.
You are literally one of the first few people that answered one. Boy, have I gotten long answers. Now, look, I ask for one thing because our attention spans, and the reason I do that is because our attention spans are just like that. It's like you.
That's right.
Like,
that's right.
In that little 30 seconds, you got 30 seconds. Go. But I definitely want to thank you. Thank you. You'll probably get another invitation from me. I can pretty much guarantee it.
Well, I thank you, really. I thank you. You do the heavy lifting. I don't do it. You do the heavy lifting. If it were not for the Tracy Carsons in this movement, like I say, I call it a movement more than it's just a movement that's manifesting in the political arena. And you are at the front lines of this movement, Tracy. And I thank you and I bless you and I love you for it.
Well, thank you. That makes me feel a lot better. It's one of the few things that I believe I've gotten right in my life. And
you got this right. You got this right.
To everybody that I've ever interviewed, everybody, I don't know if you fall into this category, but everybody who I've interviewed, they're my cousins now.
Well, I'm your brother. I don't know how you feel.
I know that's what I said. Well, I can't call him my cousin because he a little older than I am. Of course, I have
a lot older, but even then, you could be my niece if you want.
Yes, for my cousin. Well, that didn't say, but I feel like there's such a camaraderie between everybody who I've interviewed, and I want to keep that going.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
That's the foundation.
Exactly.
When people ask me, like, why do I fight so hard? Because I'm fighting for my family. And when I'm fighting for my cousins,
there you go.
Who I consider, they're like, in my family, my cousins are like my siblings. Right. And so when I'm fighting for my cousins, I'm fighting for my siblings. And when I'm fighting for my siblings, I'm fighting for my family. And when I'm fighting for my family, I'm fighting for my country. And that's why I do.
You know what? Your answer right there is the answer to what you asked me about the person of why you should vote for Justice for All. Bam. Bingo. You nailed it. That's it.
Yeah. And that's why I do it. Now, I'm not the best, I'm not the brightest, but that's why I do what I do. And I want everybody that's watching this or will watch it, because again, this is going to air at a later date. Share this episode. If you don't share anything else, share this episode. Share it. Eventually, this will be on the Justice for All website somewhere down the road. We don't know when, so please stop asking me that because I don't know when that's going to happen, but it will. We look forward to covering the convention that's going to happen. This channel is probably going to do a whole special, how many days it is. We'll be live every day it is. That's down the line, coming soon, so keep in touch with that. Remember, again, Justice for All. .us, justiceforall.us. The link to Team Tracy for Justice for All fundraiser is in the link. make your contribution, help us to get to that $25,000 that we're trying to raise, because it takes money. I know people don't want to hear that. We're not asking you to mortgage your house. A $5 donation is pretty much where we've been aiming at for every episode I've done. This will be the 10th. This will be the 10th episode. No, it'll be the 11th. But every show I've done it, and I'm going to keep doing it, because we need those contributions. We're not rich. We don't have corporate money. We're not out here taking APAC money, big pharma money. I think Savvy Sab said something that I'm going to quote: whoever funds you runs you. And we'd rather be ran by people than be ran by corporations.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and I was about to call you Dr. West, and you are not Dr. West.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But that's all right.
Mr. West or Mr.
No, you know what? You can just call me Cliff, or you can call me Cool Papa. That's what my family calls me. Whatever.
I was like, well, Uncle, tell us. I just want to just blurt out, well, Uncle, tell us where you can. Dude, because that seems inappropriate, even though you said literally, yeah, call me Uncle. I'm still going to be like, well,
whatever you feel comfortable with, you go ahead on.
And I know I don't feel comfortable with Mr. West. I'm not going to do that. But tell us how we can connect to you.
I'm connectable. Let's see. I'll give you my my email address, but I get so much on there.
Do you have a Twitter
you know
account?
What? Yeah. Oh yeah. You can look at Clifton West on Facebook. Yeah, Clifton West on Facebook.
That's right. Everybody go to Clifton West on Facebook.
Yeah. Now there's two of them, but Clifton West is the one you want, not Clifton L. West III. That's something else. So Clifton West, just Clifton West. That's the one you want.
Okay, everybody.
Yeah, and you can message me. You can message me with that. Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, like Twitter, Blue Sky.
But yeah. I think I'm on Twitter. I kind of got out of Twitter then. But
well, the racism.
Definitely Instagram. Yeah. Twitter got too. It wasn't even productive anymore. It just wasn't productive. I don't need this. So, but and again on Facebook, I don't do a lot of political stuff on Facebook. It's kind of a feels good place kind of thing, but we can start there. We can start there and go there, or you can go through Justice for All website and have them directed, and they'll get me. They'll actually text me on my phone, which I don't want to give my phone out. So yeah.
Oh, don't do that, because I already have it. So I'm like, now look, here's what I want to do.
Don't get that up now, Tracy.
No, I will. No, they're not getting it out of me. I want to say
I know.
Thank you. Because I'm like, I'm not gonna call him my cousin because he's a little older than me. So I want to be respectful.
I'm a lot older than you, not just a little, but okay. Thank you.
How old do you think I am?
I'm a lot older than you.
How old do you think?
We ain't gonna say that over the line.
No, give me a number. I won't be offended.
You call me up. We'll have that conversation. Call me up. We'll have that conversation one-on-one.
How old I am, because I've told everybody else I'm 51 years old.
Oh, okay.
See, you thought I was older.
All right.
You looked at that gray hair and said,
No. I thought you was 48 and a half, but that's okay.
Yep. Still in the right age range. I'm like, that's only like 3 years. So you were close.
Okay. All right. But I was on the right side of the ledger.
Yeah, I had somebody say 34, and I'm like, boy, stop lying. You just really lying. You don't need, I mean, that made me feel good, but you ain't got to go that far. Come on now.
This is the truth.
Yeah, January 4th, 1974. That's when I made my debut.
74. Lord have mercy. That was a good day for the world. I can tell you that. Yeah, I don't want to tell you when I was born, Truman was just corporal.
Well, if you're 75,
Harry
you
Truman.
already, yeah, I'm like, you came through Jim Crow, you came through
Yeah.
Vietnam, you came through voters' rights. Because
Yeah.
I'm the first
Yeah.
generation that had full voters' rights. So you were before me. Like you're in my mother's age range. She
Yeah.
would have been, if she were alive, she would have been 74.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I came
Yeah.
in right after you guys did.
Well, all right, dear. I so appreciate you.
Yes, thank you so very much.
I
And
appreciate
everybody
you and
tune in.
everything you do.
Special announcement video I'm gonna do after I get done with this one. But we will see you when we see you. Remember to subscribe. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. And love you as well.
You too.
Okay.
Thank you.